Hello perfume loving friends, Jasper here again at top10fragrances.com. Today we're talking about a fragrance that I think is so incredibly light and so fresh you could almost call it liquid sunshine. And that fragrance is Voyage hermes by Hermes. In its strange little bottle here, as you can see, when it comes out of the box it's like that, so the top is covered by this metal piece which protects the top, stops it spraying, and then you spin it down and it becomes the base of the bottle. So that's quite quirky, I would say. That's the box it comes in. That's 100 milliliter. It's also available as a 35 milliliter bottle, which is ideal for the handbag or the briefcase. And it's either an eau de toilette or an eau de parfum, depending on what you prefer. This is the eau de toilette we're talking about today. So let's talk very briefly about the house of Hermes. And Thierry Hermes was born in the town of Krefeld in Nordrhein-Westfalen, Germany. Sorry about the accent there. His mother was German and his father was French, and they moved to France, or back to France, in 1828. And eventually Thierry set up the business that we're talking about now, i.e. Hermes, initially as a saddlewear and bridalwear company. He was that good at what he did, the quality was so high that eventually he was supplying most of the aristocracy of Europe for their carriages and their horses. I'm going to fast forward very, very slightly now to about 1951, and that's when they started to produce perfumes. And it's actually quite difficult to talk about this company before that time, simply because they had their finger in so many pies. You know, we were talking about things like leather goods, saddles, scarves, ties, watches. And the perfume thing started in 1951, as I said, and since that date they've produced over 30 perfumes. I don't want this to sound like an omnibus edition of EastEnders, and I would be here for 4 hours if I were to talk about the history of the company in detail. So I'm going to talk about the perfume side of the business. So I'm going to fast forward again. So in 2004, the company took the step to employ somebody, because their perfume business was fading a little bit, somebody to revive it, and they did the perfect thing in my eyes, i.e. they employed Jean-Claude Ellena, probably the most famous perfumer of today. And he's actually turned the company around so incredibly well. He's actually changed the direction of their perfumes as well, and I think he's done that, in my opinion, for the better. So let's talk notes. This is, again, a classic Ellena example. We're talking about a perfume that's very, very difficult to break down the single notes of. A little bit like my review of Tokyo Bloom, which was another Ellena creation. It's so very, very hard to break down single notes with Ellena creations because his blending is so very clever. So we're talking about an initial lemon and bergamot opening of this perfume, but you can't really smell citrus as a note. It's very, very clever and very, very well done. And then the middle shines through. You're talking about tea, spicy pepper, and a touch of green with coriander, which gives a slight kind of vegetable hint or hue to the perfume, which is very, very clever. And then the base is a cedarwood and musk base, which is very, very understated and refined. It's not overly dry, which you get in some cedarwood perfumes. So it's a wonderful fresh opening, which is almost reminiscent of juniper berries and gin, which mellows to a soft, slightly green, because of the coriander, heart, with a warm tea-like scent. Then the woods and musks arrive, but they don't over-dry the perfume. They just sort of carry it incredibly well. Do you know what it's like? I'm going to be very risque here. It's a little bit like the afterglow, if you know what I'm talking about. If you imagine a night of passion on freshly laundered, very, very clean, starchy sheets, you'll know what I'm talking about. Stunningly sexy in a really refined kind of way. It almost feels like you're dozing after the business, if you get what I'm talking about. So this unisex warm and dry chypre was launched in 2010, and the nose was Jean-Claude Ellena, as I said. The sillage is quite mild on this, which is quite bizarre because the longevity is very, very good. You know, you're talking a minimum of 6 to 8 hours. In actual fact, if you spray this on your clothing, it tends to last longer for some reason. Well, certainly with my skin it does. When would you wear this? Well, I think it's perfect for every day and every occasion, actually. It's refined enough for an evening wear or an evening do, and it's certainly understated enough for the daytime in the office. And I wear it quite a lot. In actual fact, if I was a signature scent kind of person, which I'm not, simply because we have so much choice in our house, I think this would be my signature scent. It's that good. It's not really a winter scent. I would call it a 3-season scent. So certainly spring, summer and early autumn, it would be perfect for those seasons. I think it's not, well, I don't think it's quite warm enough for the winter. It's too fresh. Where do you buy this? Well, from Hermes themselves. They do have outlets in the UK and the US, and obviously in France and in Europe. Parfums NDP supply this at very, very competitive prices. And prices, you're talking between 45 and 100 euros, depending on what you're going for, because you've got 35 milliliter or 100 milliliter eau de parfum or eau de toilette. So it depends on what you're going for, the price and the size. And also just be aware that there are quite a lot of people out there making fakes of this stuff. So just be very wary that you don't buy it from the wrong person. I would steer clear of the big internet marketing companies, and we know who we're talking about here. I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to get into trouble. So as I said to you, this is a perfect everyday scent. It would be my signature scent if I were a signature scent kind of guy, which I'm not. And that's Voyage d'Hermes by Hermes. And I'll see you next week for the next review.